You are watching ACC Network Basketball presented by Geico. And tonight from Blacksburg, Virginia, it's a battle of top 20 opponents as the Duke Blue Devils take on the Hokies of Virginia Tech at Cassell Coliseum. Great to have you with us, everybody. I'm Dave O'Brien, my partner Corey Alexander. We're coming to you safely from our homes, certainly wishing we were there in person at the Cassell tonight. But, Corey, when you start to drill down on games like tonight, key games inside the ACC, you look at Aluma, you look at Hurt, and where this game could be won or lost for either side.
And when you think of Duke and Virginia Tech, you instantly think about perimeter players, but it's actually the big guys who are getting it done for both these teams this year. Keve Aluma averaging 15.5 and 7 rebounds a game. When he made the switch from Wofford to Virginia Tech alongside Coach Young didn't even expect this type of performance in ACC play. But when you think about Matthew Hurt, he made the sophomore jump as well as anyone has throughout the country. An increase of 9 points per game in his scoring and continues to play well. The ACC's Player of the Week added 25 pounds to his frame over the offseason, and he's definitely added to his game.
Duke Blue Devils coming in at 5-2, 3-0 in the conference. Virginia Tech at 9-2, 3-1 in the ACC. The Hokies win the opening tip, and we are underway. So good of you to join us tonight for ACC basketball here on the network. Look at the starting five for the Hokies. Bisabidi is the point man. Radford is a guy who can really get heating up offensively, but so much of it runs through Aluma. They'll shovel up there and in for Radford in the first bucket tonight.
And you see the level of pressure that Duke wants to put on you on the perimeter. When you play against Duke teams, you have to have guys that can win the battle off the dribble and, more importantly, be able to finish once they get in that painted area.
Well, you saw the starting five for Duke. Coach K starting 3 freshmen in Stewart, Roach, and Brakefield. Jamin Brakefield's first career start for the Duke Blue Devils. Tight defense here for the Hokies. Shot clock is down to 3 right away in the first possession. That one's going to be stripped, and it is going to be out off the Duke Blue Devils. So a great start defensively for the Hokies.
And Obi, you and I talked with Coach Young earlier today. He spoke consistently about their defense. We know that he's known as an offensive guru, but he talked so much about their defense and simply just said that, hey, offense is easy, defense is hard, but he's got his group playing very good defense this early season.
And I should say so, they allowed just 2 field goals in the second half in a recent victory against Notre Dame, but now it's the Blue Devils buckling down on defense and coming away with the turnover. And a long jumper is going to be off the back of the iron, rebounded away by Virginia Tech. Victories over Clemson, Miami, and Notre Dame in conference play. Here's Radford with a pull-up pop, and that'll be off target.
And regardless of whether there are fans, only 250 fans in the building, but still a huge game, although we don't have the Hokie faithful. This is a big game for Mike Young and his staff as we get opportunity to see Coach Young now in his second season at Virginia Tech. And to be honest, Obi, I don't think that many people felt like he would have this level of success this early at Virginia Tech. But right now you're talking about a top 20 team in Blacksburg.
Nice save there on the baseline by Beatty as he went sailing over the end line. Duke coming in number 19. Virginia Tech ranked number 20 in this week's poll. Radford up top, long jumper on the way, and nothing but net there by Mutz. The 6'7 junior out of New Jersey. He drains that one to make it 5-0.
And Mutz and Aluma together have allowed Virginia Tech to play differently than we saw them a year ago in Mike Young's inaugural season as the head coach of the Hokies, as Matthew Hurt misses the 3. But you see Virginia Tech getting out in transition. They put so much pressure on you in transition, but when you play the 2, and I'm not even going to call either of those guys bigs, but 2 bigger players with Aluma as well as Mutz, they are a much better rebounding team and also a much better defensive team.
You mentioned bigs, and, Duke is really short in that category tonight. Jalen Johnson, the 6'9 freshman, he's missed about a month with a foot injury. Not able to go tonight, nor is Henry Coleman, 6'7 freshman. He can't play tonight. In fact, did not even make the trip here. Tough drive, and the foul not there by Justin Mutz, but a foul will go against the Hokies, and that will go against number 25.
And that's a huge hit for Duke when you consider Henry Coleman without Tepe and Jalen Jackson in the lineup. You miss Henry Coleman, who I know who was looking forward to coming and playing this game. His dad, Hank, played football at Virginia Tech, one of my old AAU teammates, and Henry considered Virginia Tech coming down to the wire before he chose Duke. And, he didn't really have much choice, though, because his mom, Cynthia, went to Virginia. So he couldn't come to Virginia Tech, could he, Obi?
Breaker, no way. Oh, pretty move on the baseline. Jamin Brakefield will lay that one in his first career start, the freshman out of Jackson, Mississippi.
And Jamin has that ability. Coach K told us today they need more production from him, getting the start, a better matchup size-wise with Virginia Tech as we see Butts continue to perform well. He had a big game against Notre Dame last time out, and you see off to a great start in this.
A highly coveted transfer this summer from Delaware. He's played very, very well. Hurt off target with his first couple of shots, the ACC scoring leader. By the way, he's hitting over 40% from three. Swooping in and drawing the foul, a lean. Contact in the lane and a 7-2 Virginia Tech lead.
And you see right now that there is a concerted effort by Virginia Tech to attack the basket. This Duke Blue Devil team, who has been great blocking shots for the past 2 seasons, not as strong with their interior defense this year. And you can see the focus of Mike Young's team to make sure that they are going to attack the basket every opportunity they get.
Roach picked up the foul, number 1 on him. To send a lean to the line where he's very, very good at 89%. And the Hokies trying to open up a comfortable early lead. He sinks the pair. David Gasson coming in off the bench, big freshman at 6'9" for Coach Young. Starting to get some playing time. A lean heading to the bench. And a really good energy early for the Hokies.
But when you look at this Virginia Tech team, Obi, and you and I have both followed the ACC for a long time, this is probably the biggest Virginia Tech team that you've seen in the recent years, but you see they still don't lack speed. Getting out in transition, an easy basket for Hunter Couture off a beautiful find from Radford on the break. And right now, Virginia Tech is trying to rebound and run. They don't want to have to play in the half court, even though they know they're going to have to beat Duke in many half-court sets. But right now, the Hokies are out and running early.
Goaltending there, the basket for the Hokies. And that's exactly what the Blue Devils start to get cranked up offensively. They have to have that. On a long one by Stewart, the freshman from Chicago.
Well, DJ Stewart, a very capable scorer. 25 points in his debut for the Blue Devils and hasn't slowed down at all. The ACC's reigning Rookie of the Week, and off to a good start here, knocking down his first 3.
Aluma leaning in. He'll draw the foul. That gets us to the first timeout. 15:34 to go. First half, 11-5. The Hokies at home against the Blue Devils. ACC Network Basketball is presented by Geico. You can save even more by bundling home and car insurance. That's a look at the beautiful new Virginia Tech Performance Center. The eating, by the way, is really, really good. Get anything you want there for the athletes. And this is state-of-the-art stuff at Virginia Tech. Great to see Coach K back at it. Mike Krzyzewski, the Hall of Famer, he had not coached the Blue Devils in a game since December 16th when Duke beat Notre Dame. Duke then announced that Mike and his wife Mickey would enter quarantine after they had contact with a COVID-19 positive family member. Coach K had consistently tested negative, but he did not coach Duke's win over BC last Wednesday at Cameron Indoor. His daughter Debbie and his granddaughter Emmy had been fighting the virus. We certainly wish them both very, very well. Out of the corner, dropped in by number 15, instant offense, Jalen Cone.
That is my guy. Love him. One of the best kids you'll ever meet. Well, I should say best young men. But when you think about Jalen Cone, you think about instant offense coming off the bench. The second leading scorer for Virginia Tech at 13 points per game. And he's ready to fire as soon as he steps on the court. And Coach Young talked about him, his ability to sprint right into shots. And you see a great example of that Full speed, gets his feet set, great footwork to raise up, a great elevation on his shot, knocking down his first three of the game.
And you talk about getting the shot free for the 5'10 sophomore in a blink of an eye. Missed the first 3 games of the season. Man, what a factor he has been in the Hokies surging up to number 20. By the way, 5 Virginia Tech players have already scored, so they're spreading around the offense, Corey, real quickly.
They are, and Obi, I look at that bio blast, oh my God, Jalen Cone, and he is a spectacular player. You look at, 27 three-point field goals made on the season, which is first in the ACC, and that's after missing 3 games. But one thing about that bio blast, Obi, they were a bit generous on that 5'10". I've seen a lot of Jalen. I don't think he's 5'10".
Not quite there, huh? A sweet jump shot on target by Roach, freshman from Leesburg, Virginia. Comes in averaging 10 points a game. Yet another McDonald's All-American. Hokies, by the way, are 5 for 7 shooting it early, so trying to stay hot, and they do. If you leave Cone that much room, forget about it.
And speaking of my guys, Jeremy Roach is definitely one of my guys, but he has his hands full tonight having to deal with Jalen Cone. I'm not sure that Jalen Cone gets the level of credit that he should receive from outsiders, but Coach Young knows how good he is, as we see Matthew Hurt knocking down the 3.
Coming in at 20 points, 8 rebounds a game. Hurt, the 6'9 sophomore, who makes 43% beyond the 3-point line. Coming off a tremendous effort in the victory over Wake Forest, 26 points this week. Cone trying to shred the D, flips it up, bit of a wild play, and the Blue Devils come away with the basketball, trying to turn that into 2. Tiptoeing in for the bucket is Brakefield. And here come the Blue Devils. They've cut it to 5.
Great body control by Jamin Brakefield right there to recognize he had an opportunity to finish on the other side of the basket, but I'm sure Coach Young not happy about the defensive transition. Cone attacking the basket. He's not going to be back. Someone has to get back and defend the rim for the Hokies, because the Blue Devils will destroy you in transition.
Shot clock inside 10, down to 7 now for the Hokies. On the drive and a pretty play, up and in for 2. They get it to the freshman, Gasson. He's starting to get some minutes now here. Early in the season, that was not the case, Corey, but slowly, bit by bit, Mike Young has more confidence in him.
Well, and that really comes from practice, and we talked to Coach Young earlier today, and he mentioned how he'd seen every practice that Keve Aluma has ever had and how much he's improved. Well, we can see improvement over practice gets you playing time.
Hokies with the depth. Yep, going to turn that into an easy 2 on the lay-in by Cone.
Disappointed, Obi. He has the ability. He can dunk that. I'm disappointed in JC right now. We're going to have a conversation about that one.
Because you're right, it's even more impressive when a guy well under 5'10" can get up there and slam it down. Long jumper on the way, around and out, 1 and done for the Blue Devils. Looking to push that transition. Going to be a foul here by Goldwire. Going to reach in and stop the fast break. 21-12, the Hokies. And coming up tomorrow, a special men's basketball tripleheader coming your way. It starts at 4:30 Eastern. Number 18, Virginia, taking on Notre Dame. Then NC State and FSU, followed by number 16, Louisville. They've won 4 in a row, taking on Wake Forest. And all 3 games right here on ACC Network and the ESPN app.
Obi, I like these 3 games on Wednesdays. I like the fact that you can sit there and watch, a lot of quality ACC basketball on Wednesdays. But you know what I like even better? That you and I are working on Tuesday, so we can actually be there to see those games.
That's right. Well, I know how much you love sitting and watching college basketball. I do too. When I was a kid, I couldn't get enough of doing exactly that. Watching 3, I'd watch 7 games in a row if they let me. If mom and dad didn't say, go out and at least shovel some snow.
Yeah, though you said the only time that you took off was at halftime, so you got to get some shots up, work on your game a little bit.
Got to get that jumper in there, and didn't help me a whole lot, but I certainly enjoyed watching the broadcasts. Shot clock down to 8. Again, very, very good defense. Kick out for Hurt in the corner, and that won't drop for him. On the spin, several opportunities there for the Blue Devils. Couldn't get anything to drop. Beatty running the point. Pull up from 15, and he sinks it.
And I think Mavisa Beatty has to do more of that for Virginia Tech. We know that he's great with his assisted turnover. He's a true floor general. But oftentimes he's a little too unselfish, especially when he gets deep in the paint. Got to look to be a little more aggressive scoring like he did on that pull-up and continue to help his team. But right now, it's been about the Hokies. An 11-point lead for them early. And right now, Mike Young happy with the performance of his group. Special talent to be able to produce off the bench, and Jalen Cone has it. As soon as he steps in the game, he's locked and loaded and able to make plays, knocking down big threes and getting his hand on the basketball, coming up with deflections for the easiest basket he'll probably have today. But Jalen Cone has had an instant impact since checking into the game.
Yeah, look at what he's done. Last 4 games, our Geico Players Spotlight averaging 18 a game. Again, that's coming off the bench, sizzling beyond the three-point line. We talked to Mike Young about him, and the question was, how do you convince a guy who's so talented offensively to be your 6th man to come off the bench, knowing he can get 20, 25 every night? He said, we haven't even talked about it. He's willing to do whatever needs to be done as Williams is harassed, and they don't get the second shot up there. First one did not touch the iron, so a shot clock violation. It's great to have a kid like that. You mentioned what a terrific young man he is. But to be that unselfish is not typical.
But you know what? They have another great nonverbal communication. Coach Young doesn't say anything to Jalen about his shots. He doesn't care what type of shot he takes, as long as he plays hard defensively, gives him the energy and effort he needs, because he knows if he allows Jalen Cone to play with this level of confidence, he's going to get this level of production. And it's been a great match for the two of them, ever since a year ago when Jalen stepped foot on campus in Blacksburg. And it continues to be a great relationship between the two.
Look at Aluma get free inside with an array of moves. Duke has missed 6 consecutive shots, so they are stone cold. And the Hokies have opened it up here with about 10 minutes to go in the half, 27-12 over the number 19 Duke Blue Devils. A Thursday, a special women's basketball triple header starting at 4. 6-3 Wake Forest. They've won 2 in a row. Taking on Notre Dame, and then it's Virginia Tech in North Carolina. We cap it off with number 2 Louisville at 10-0 hosting BC. All 3 games right here on the ACC Network and the ESPN app. Corey Alexander, Dave O'Brien with you from our homes here tonight.
And I tune into those as well, Obi. And, of course, people would think I watch Virginia Tech because of my cousin Kenny Brooks, but forget that guy. I watch it because of my baby girl, Chloe Brooks. Number 3 for the Hokies. That's the only reason I watch Kenny play.
What a great family member you are. They all talk about it at Christmas. Nice move on the baseline, but it's going to be a bit too much, and a traveling violation by Brakefield. So wave that off. 27-12, Virginia Tech. Everything going to Hokies' way right now. And Coach K is watching a very cold shooting team.
And Obi, I was in Blacksburg for the matchup between the two teams a year ago, where Virginia Tech jumped out to a huge lead. And what Coach K ended up doing at halftime was making a change regarding the lineup. They went small. Vernon Carey barely played in the second half. They played Jack White at the center position, and that was the beginning of Duke playing 4 guards. And they were able to come back and win that game. So one of the things I'm sure Mike Young is thinking about is, regardless of how big the lead is, they do not want to take their foot off the gas pedal, because he knows the Blue Devils can get back in a hurry.
Well, Jeremy Roach, the McDonald's All-American out of Leesburg, Virginia, with an answer they desperately needed. He has 4 points so far, 29-14 the Hokies, and no basket is going to be on the line.
That's the type of range Jalen Cone has, though. He can stand out of bounds and shoot the 3 ball. He still made the shot, but the problem is it doesn't count because it's a turnover. But when you look at Jalen Cone and his ability to get, you see that left foot on the line. But regardless, he still sees the shot goes in. His confidence raises on that.
Duke really needs a hot hand. It wasn't gold wire there. In transition again, the bank shot is up and in by Radford.
But we have to look at how many times have the Hokies gotten out and had advantage basketball, whether it's a 2-on-1, 3-on-2, whatever it may be. And a lot of the reason is because Tyrese Radford is such a great rebounder, but he can also push the tempo. He doesn't have to wait to give it to a guard because he is a guard, and he gets Virginia Tech playing fast.
Radford only 6'2", but he plays a lot bigger than that. He's really tough on the glass. Shot clock a factor, down to 5 for Duke. On the drive, a little teardrop and a pretty shot there by Roach for 2 more.
And Jeremy Roach, a Virginia native, as you mentioned, from Leesburg, and I'm sure his dad in attendance tonight, one of his biggest fans, or his biggest fan and greatest supporter as well. And you can actually have fans, at least 2 tickets for each player. So Tyrese Radford and Jeremy Roach getting it done for their respective teams, but Radford getting it done to the tune of Virginia Tech having a huge lead. Rebound and run as Radford makes this play for himself. Come back and join me and my guy, the notorious D.O.B.
Welcome back to ACC Network Basketball, and from Rye, New Hampshire, notorious D.O.B. joining you along with my man, Statesville, North Carolina's favorite, Corey Alexander. Thanks for the nickname, by the way. Thanks for the moniker. I know you were working on that one. So,
hey, you know, I thought about it honestly this past summer, and I was like, it works perfectly, my guy. The only thing is, notorious normally means you're famous for doing something that wasn't so good. However, the notorious B.I.G. was the GOAT. You're the GOAT. It's that simple. You got to be the notorious D.O.B., my guy.
You're the best. As the Hokies continue to lay it on offensively, and a lean with a pull-up pop to make it 33-16, and the Hokies are getting basically any variety of shots underneath for 2. Able to strike here. And Jalen Johnson. Duke Blue Devils, they're in the ACC right now overall in scoring. Big battle on the baseline. The kick out here for a lean. He'll stick it.
Well, Obi, I'm sure you're just as surprised as I am to see Jalen Johnson on the court. We were not expecting to see him. We thought he would play in the next game, but right now that's the way that it's gone for Duke to this point, to where Coach K feels as though he had to get Jalen Johnson back in this game, getting no production really from his front court as Roach knocks down another 3. And Jeremy Roach has been the bright spot for the Duke offense thus far in this game. 9 points for him.
Now Roach has been able to consistently light it up, but getting Jalen Johnson, the 6'9" freshman of the game, is a major surprise. We were told that he was probably not going to play a minute in this game. They were concerned about his conditioning, even though he has been cleared to play coming back from that foot injury.
Well, that's all he played. He's back out of the game, so he might get a minute in the books. But the fact that he's back into the game is really a helpful sign for the Blue Devils. And getting to see Jalen back on the court and healthy, promising, of course, when you think about a young man of this level of talent, whenever he's injured, you're going to have the naysayers talking about whether he comes back, whether he doesn't. So glad to see Jalen back on the court for the Blue Devils, and he's been sorely missed. They need his help up front.
No question about that. Aline shovels that one into the lane for Radford. Shot clock to 10 now for the Hokies. Third with some tight defense, but it opens up in the middle of the lane for the strike. And again, as Radford drops in 2, they go back to a 17-point advantage with 6 minutes to go in the half.
And Obi, one of the things, when you look at this Blue Devils team, and of course they had 2 big losses at home to Big Ten teams in Illinois and Michigan State. The problem for the Blue Devils isn't offense. They can score with anybody. They got more than enough offensive talent. The problem is their defense. And right now you look down 17 to Virginia Tech, but more importantly, when you look at the shooting percentage right now, Virginia Tech is 16 for 21 from the field. Now, I'm pretty decent with math. That's around 75%. They are getting everything they want whenever they want it right now, and the Blue Devils are not giving them any resistance.
And a whistle before the shot. Flipped up by DJ Stewart, who came in averaging 14 points and about 5 rebounds a game. He is the reigning ACC Freshman of the Week.
DJ Stewart attacking the basket, and using his size advantage over Jalen Cone, but an open painted area for the Blue Devils because they play a 5-out scenario. Matthew Hurt, playing the 5 position, has the ability to shoot the 3. You have to guard him from beyond the arc. But when you think about the Blue Devils right now, they're going to be able to score. Now, they haven't shot the basketball great, 9 for 19 from the field, about 45%, so they haven't been awful either. But when you consider the fact that they've given up 38 points already with still over 5 minutes remaining in this first half, and if Virginia Tech doesn't slow down, this could be a 50-point half for the Hokies.
Still almost 6 minutes to go before the break here in Blacksburg. Hokies hitting from inside and outside, and a near theft scrap for that on the floor as the Hokies come away with it. And now they've got numbers and a foul with 5:25 remaining in the half. And again, Radford going in strong and drawing the contact.
And Mike Young told us how his team had to take care of the basketball. A near steal by Roach on that possession, but Duke does not come up with the 50-50 ball, and it ends up being a foul against Matthew Hurt. And right now, when you look at Tyrese Radford, and he's done a bit of everything already, 6 points, 5 rebounds, and only 3 for 4 from the field in this game, only 4 field goal attempts. But his effect has been more so on pushing the basketball and creating tempo for the Hokies to this point.
Radford, big factor in their victory over Clemson. Kind of got them rolling in the conference. He had 15 points. Not that they rely on him for a ton of scoring, but he can be explosive. And he's opened up a 39-23 advantage for the Hokies. Hurt's been pretty quiet so far in the lane, trying to use a little muscle. You know, he put on about 15 pounds, showing a little bit of that strength right there. He's been better against contact, hasn't he?
He really has. And when you think about Matthew Hurt, you know, had the reputation of being just a shooter. You know, great shooter at that coming out of high school. But you see he's added to his game another dimension which allows him to be able to play through that contact and score in the paint.
Loose ball and scooped up by the Blue Devils. Trying to get that one underneath, and the misfire. Hurt went for the rebound, and that's going to be an and one. Duke really crashing that glass. Wendell Moore, the 6'5 junior, he outfought everybody for that one. He'll be at the line.
And a nice find from DJ Stewart. Wendell Moore unable to finish the first one, but does a great job being persistent, coming up with the offensive board and the putback to finish it off. An opportunity for a three-point play, but the three-point play, if he's able to make this free throw, allows Duke to set up their full court pressure. And that's the only way they've been able to slow the Hokies down thus far.
Another battle for the rebound. The Hokies have it.
And another opportunity for a 50-50 ball that the Blue Devils did not come up with. We'll see if it hurts them on this end of the floor.
Here's Aluma. He lets fly, but not there for him. And Duke's starting to cut into that rather significant advantage. It looked for a while like the Hokies were really going to put the pedal to the metal. They thought about the three. He's going to drive it, airborne, left it short. Hokies been pushing the tempo since Jump Street, but they're going to throw that away. Save goes right back over to the Hokies, trying to turn that into a quick strike, but can't do it.
That's a point-blank layup miss, and really one of the cardinal sins of the game of basketball. You do not save the ball underneath your opponent's basket, but because of the missed layup, Duke able to get away with it on that possession, dodging a bullet.
Long distance, that three clangs away. Duke coming in ranked number 19. The Hokies ranked number 20. You'll look at their three-point shooting tonight. And we have a timeout. With 3.5 minutes to go in the first half, the Hokies up by 12 over Duke. Well, we mentioned the COVID issues for, Coach K and the Duke Blue Devil program, but January 6th, Boston College, they pick up the win. Just 3 days later against Wake Forest, 79-68. Right back at it here against the number 20 team in the country in Virginia Tech prior to January 6th. No games since the 16th of December. But great to see Coach Beck. He said, he got so tired of being around the house, doing Zoom calls and everything. And he was just so happy when, he finally got a chance to coach that Wake Forest game. He couldn't stop talking. He apologized to the media. He said, I know I'm talking a lot, but the dog walks out of the room. My dog Blue leaves the room these days when I start talking. I'm just delighted to be talking to other human beings.
Amazing to talk to Coach K. And in his 45th season on the sidelines, he talked about he spent more time in preparation than he ever had before when he had to miss the game. And, and he learned a lot. And again, when you are, it's hard to say he's not the GOAT. I mean, you go with he and John Wooden, but when you think about probably the greatest basketball coach ever, definitely in the modern era, and he's still learning in year 45, year 46, there's a lot to be said about that. And right now he's trying to figure out a way to stop Virginia Tech. He's gone to the 4-guard lineup, which has been the starting lineup for his team the past, couple of games, trying to pick up some energy in the full court and try to find his way to slow down the Hokies.
I'm trying to think of a coach who's been as good at anything as Coach K has coaching college basketball. Friday night duels coming up. Get wrestling your way. Number 8 against number 14, 6 p.m. right here on the ACC Network. Now, Mike Krzyzewski has coached 9 National Players of the Year. He's made 12 Final Four appearances. He's won 6 gold medals as coach of the U.S. national teams. He's coached 28 NBA lottery picks. That's the most in draft history. He's won 15 ACC tournaments. That's the record. We could do a show for 2 hours just talking about all the things that he's accomplished as a coach. It's just staggering.
Absolutely. And, but the thing is, what I respect most is Coach K is the same Coach K in 2021 that he was in 1991. And that was in national championship year. And when you think about it, the first thing he said to me when we got on the Zoom yesterday was, you look like an old man, you need to shave.
And you did.
And I did.
Exactly what you did.
Haven't talked to Coach in months, and the first thing he says to me is, you look like an old man, you need to shave. But now, let me say this, though. Mike Young loved my beard. Said it was one of the most distinguished beards he's ever seen. And again, respect for both those coaches, but, 2 different spectrums as far as my beard.
I agree. It was fashionable, downright stately, the talk of the town. Well, here's the look, the before and after. You be the judge. But you tightened up the look on the left a little bit in recent weeks, and I thought you might stick with that for a while. You know who loved it? Loved it more than anything? Bill Walton, your colleague Bill Walton. He didn't want you to lose it.
No, Bill Walton was one of the main reasons I kept the beard for as long as I did. I had planned on cutting it off December 1st, and Bill Walton was the guy that talked me into keeping it. As Matthew Hurt, the handoff to Jordan Goldwire, but give Hunter Couture credit. Moving his feet, getting his body in front of goal wire, getting the offensive foul, and now 9 turnovers for the Blue Devils in this first half. Most coaches want us to be at 10 or under for a game, and right now Duke approaching that number here in the first half alone.
Drive and kick off the fingertips of Aluma, but he gets it back. Here's Cone attracting a lot of attention every time he touches it beyond that 3. Three-pointer won't drop here for Aline. But the second effort, up and in, and they really have been relentless on that. Radford again.
You would be hard-pressed to find a better 6'2" rebounder nationally than Tyrese Radford. I'm not sure anyone goes after the basketball the way that he does. Already 6 boards for him in this first half, along with shooting 5 for 6 from the field to have 11 points.
Here with a turnaround, will draw the foul by Aluma. Stops the clock with 1:22 to go in the half. Virginia Tech has led by as many as 18 here in the opening 20 minutes, and Hurt, who's a 68% foul shooter, takes the hit here, and he'll be at the line. Sophomore out of Rochester, Minnesota. Is at 5 points so far in this one.
Minnesota has been great to the Blue Devils throughout recent years. 2015 national champion Tyus Jones, as well as his little brother Trey, the ACC player and defensive player of the year a year ago, and now Matthew Hurt. So when you think back over the past 5-6 seasons, Minnesota has done very well in Durham.
Jalen Johnson back on. The rebound by the Hokies, though. Again, that's a major story here for the Blue Devils to get the talented freshman from Milwaukee, preseason All-ACC, averaging 12 points, 8 rebounds per game. He's been out for a month. They get him back on the floor, at least for a couple of spurts here in the first half for Duke.
And as of yesterday, the plan was for him not to play in this game because they don't play for a week after this, so they could get a bunch of good practices in with Jalen Johnson. But the way this game is gone, Coach K feeling like, hey, we've got to get him back on the floor. They needed a boost from somewhere, so turning to the prize freshman to see if they can get it.
And a blocking foul. Couture was hoping for another charge there, but not the case. We'll give you another look on that one with 44 seconds to go.
And Jeremy Roach with the quick change of direction. You see the difference between this play. Couture never was able to get his body squarely in front of Roach to be able to absorb that contact.
So Roach to shoot. And a freshman at 61% so far in his first season, averaging 10 points a game. He was the state of Virginia's Gatorade Player of the Year and a McDonald's High School All-American, and hotly recruited.
Coach K raved about Jeremy Roach in our conversation yesterday. You know, just talking about his upbringing, of course, his parents, as well as playing for Keith Stevens, a team takeover. Works out with my guy Darren McClinton over the summertime, who talks about Roach constantly. And again, I'm a big Jeremy Roach fan, 2-time gold medal winner with USA Basketball. And he is the type of point guard that Coach K wants to be running the show, especially, you know, if he can keep him around for a couple years with the Blue Devils.
Yeah, that's always the big question. 3 freshmen starting tonight for the Duke Blue Devils. Nice tie-up here on the baseline. So lockdown defense here. Take a look.
And Joey Baker getting involved in the action. That's great defense. No foul on that play. Ends up being the tied-up possession, which goes to Virginia Tech. But, you know, Coach K going deep into his bench in this game, trying to find some type of spark. They've made what was a huge lead a little smaller, but
how about this one?
It's going to grow. Tyrese Radford putting together a spectacular first half. Another opportunity for an and one for Radford, and great ball movement. Hunter Couture finding Radford wide open. Duke just getting lost. Oof. On the defensive end of the floor, an acrobatic move by Radford to finish it off.
Johnson with the foul, so an opportunity for a three-point play. He has 13 points. Give him 14 along with 8 rebounds. Talking about Tyrese Radford. We talked about it early when he came into the game, you know, his ability to explode, to really take over the momentum of a contest, and he's done it here. He's opened up a 46-31 lead.
Big possession here for the Blue Devils, trying to get some momentum going into the half.
Oh, talk about a lot of iron, but it drops through for 3 for Hurt. That one's skyrocketing back in the air. Couture will launch it. That won't go, so we're at halftime. Virginia Tech behind Tyrese Radford. Shooting 66%, Corey, in the first half.
They have had their way on the offensive end of the floor. The Blue Devils are going to have to come up with some type of answer to slow down the Hokies, because right now Mike Young has his team rolling in Blacksburg.
ACC Network Basketball is presented by Geico. And tonight from Cassell Coliseum in Blacksburg, Virginia, number 19 Duke taking on number 20 Virginia Tech. Dave O'Brien and Corey Alexander with you from our homes, and a couple of young guys getting it done here in the first half.
With Jeremy Roach making the visit back to his home state, and has put on for the state of Virginia early in a Blue Devil uniform. 13 points for the freshman, 4 for 6 from the field, continuing to get it done offensively for the Blue Devils. But the problem has been they have found no answer for Tyrese Radford, who is from the boot, but is getting it done in Virginia at Virginia Tech. Coast to coast off the rebound, 14 points for Radford, attacking the basket early and often for the Hokies, finishing through contact and also moving without the basketball. Great vision here to recognize where the open area was. Getting to the rim, another finish for Tyrese Radford, 14 points for him in the first half.
Tyrese out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, helping to lead the way here. Again, the lead was as high as 18 for the Hokies in the first half. Duke has made several runs to cut back into that. And we are set for the second half here at Cassell on the ACC network. We shall see what the second half has in store here. We did see Jalen Johnson getting on the court a couple of times. Big surprise for Duke. Did not look like there was any chance he was going to play tonight, although he was cleared to do that. Conditioning was very much a question as you look at the Stars coming in and what they have done so far. Hurt and Aluma. Hurt with 8 points, came in averaging almost 20 a game.
Well, these two guys are in the top 10 in the ACC in scoring and field goal percentage, but they have not been the stars in this one. Each has had a teammate to step up in their absence, but both these guys are going to have an effect on this second half, especially Matthew Hurt if he's going to expect for his team to walk out of Cassell Coliseum with the win.
Goldwire beyond the three. Duke in possession to begin the second half here in Blacksburg. On the attack, Roach, little bump underneath and a whistle. As he takes the hit, Duke coming in looking for their 6th win of the season. They are perfect in the ACC at 3-0. Rocky start, but they have won 3 in a row and now have Coach K back after quarantine. They beat Boston College and then Wake Forest in Coach K's return. And tonight they begin a schedule of 3 consecutive games on the road at Virginia Tech, at Pitt, and at Louisville. So this is going to be a difficult stretch under any circumstances.
And Obi, one of the reasons why they have won 3 in a row and starting to play better is this young man at the free throw line, Jeremy Roach, who was settling in as the point guard for the Blue Devils. Came off the bench in their first game or two and has played inconsistent minutes, but now he's been in the starting lineup. Coach K has allowed him to run the show. Jordan Goldwire is doing more of the defensive responsibilities at the point guard position, and Roach is taking over the offense. DJ Stewart continues to score, and right now a 10-point game. The Blue Devils have to find a way to find some momentum here to start off this second half.
Well, Duke Blue Devils with a foul there. Brakefield with a little shove. Opening seconds of the second half. That's going to be number 3 on Jamin Brakefield. So
that's part of the reason
in trouble here.
Yeah, part of the reason we saw Jalen Johnson is because of the foul trouble from Brakefield. And we mentioned earlier, Henry Coleman is not on the trip, as well as Chris Carrawell as DJ Stewart gets out, and now we've got an 8-point game. And this is the way that Coach K, I'm sure, talked to his team about starting the second half. Defensive stops and scoring on the other end of the floor.
Well, last time it was single digits. The score is 21-12.
But the Blue Devils forced 19 turnovers against Boston College a couple games ago. And this is really where they have been exceptional this season, their steals. Jordan Goldwire leads the ACC in steals, but they have a number of players who can get into the passing lane and make plays, and they have to be able to score off of their defense to not always have to face a set defense on the other end of the floor.
Going to get it inside, but the basket won't go, and Aluma unable to connect. At close range and early momentum here, but the block. And fine defense there by Radford. With 18:45 to go here in the second half. Men's basketball, the triple-header we talked about earlier, Notre Dame and Virginia. At 4:30, then NC State, FSU, followed by number 16, Louisville, and Wake Forest, all coming up on Wednesday, starting at 4:30, right here on the ACC Network. With a touch, spinning inside for 2.
For the first time in about 25 years, we're seeing 5 ranked ACC teams, but none in the top 10. And the ACC did have some struggles early in the non-conference, but we see teams starting to settle in. And it's going to be a number of good ACC teams when we get to the NCAA tournament in March.
Well, the Hokies with a basket they really needed there, Corey, as Radford went in, and he's got 16 to make it 48-40, but Duke quickly getting back in this thing.
But again, if there's anyone who knew that Duke was going to make a comeback, it's Mike Young. And I'm sure there's something that he spoke to his team about, and there's a play where Radford just has to keep that. There's no reason to give that basketball up. Continue to attack the rim.
And a three-pointer on the money. Stewart will knock that one down.
Yeah, that's a 5-point swing, though, Obi. That should have been 2 points for Tyrese Radford. in transition going to the rim. No one has been able to stop him the entire time. He tries to give it up and be a little too unselfish early, and it ends up being a turnover and a 3 on the other end for the Blue Devils, a 5-point swing on that possession.
Bradford slams on the break. Shot clock down to 8 now for the Hokies. Couture, he's on target. He delivers a triple.
Yeah, Hunter Couture and Jalen Cone, give both these guys credit. They stay ready coming off the bench, combining for over 20 points per game for those two guys in bench production. And Mike Young has a tremendous amount of confidence in both the players when he puts them in the game.
Roach will pull up and pop. Nice job by Hurt to tap that one. It'll be Duke basketball. And the Hokies up by 8.
Off the turnover, Jordan Goldwire finding DJ Stewart, who knocks down the 3 to get this game a bit closer. But it's been a good response from Virginia Tech to be able to stretch the lead out a little bit. And now DJ Stewart with 10 points, he and Roach both in double figures. And Coach K talked about his young backcourt. He loves these two players leading the way for Duke in the backcourt for him this year as Wendell Moore gets an easy bucket.
Yeah, they run a very smooth play for Moore, who came in averaging about 7 points per game. And I don't think anyone will ever forget his buzzer-beating shot to knock off North Carolina at Cameron Indoor last February. Here's Couture again straight on. It barely got to the rim. And then one and done.
And Duke dodging a bullet from there. Couture doesn't miss many wide-open shots. Knockdown three-point shooter. Gave Duke a break on that last possession.
Hurt downstairs, kicks it out. Shot clock down to 11. Rebounded away. A strong move right back up, but it will not drop. Stewart could not get it to go. Couture will drive it. The follow won't be good. 51-45 Hokies. Works right down the lane and will lay it up. He went in strong, the freshman for 2.
That's nice. No extra movement. A nice left hand in and out move. Throws the defender, gets to the rim. And again, we've talked about Duke with very little rim protection. Well, there's been no rim protection for Virginia Tech either, especially here to start this second half.
Bradford takes a hit on the play with exactly 15 minutes to go. And we will take the timeout. It's really tightened up. Virginia Tech 51-47 on the Duke Blue Devils. ACC Network Basketball is presented by Geico. You could save even more by bundling home and car insurance. Well, last time that Virginia Tech knocked off Duke here, Blacksburg 77-72, February 26th of 19. Meanwhile, back to live action just a moment ago. It looked like the officials issued a technical foul, one on each side.
Well, you see Tyrese Radford and DJ Stewart bump into each other. However, the technical foul was between Tyrese Radford and Jeremy Roach, so it had to have been something regarding the conversation and what was said as Roach walked past. Roach was the one who actually fouled Tyrese Radford on that possession. But Radford and Roach both get technical fouls on that play. And Obi, again, we're not there to be able to see it, or more importantly, to be able to hear it. But there was more contact between you and I, and we're at our respective homes. seven states from each other. So
right. Cone fouled on the play in the act of shooting a 3. Take another look.
And Mike Young talked about how this really is an art for him because he's moving so fast and he has the great footwork that allows him to get into his shot quickly. He drew 2 fouls on 3-point shots against Notre Dame on Wednesday night, and we see him do it for the first time here tonight. But it really is a skill to be able to get on a full sprint and yet be able to go straight up and down and make shots. Is something that very few can do. I can think of a number of great shooters that I've played against in my lifetime, Reggie Miller, Ray Allen, etc. But very few people can do that.
Cone with 11. to bump the lead to 54-47. Duke has not led in this game. Bounce up top for Hurt. Shot clock to 10. He'll let fly, and a nice feathery touch from way downtown.
And a big bucket for Matthew Hurt. And more importantly, for his confidence alone, now up to 50% from the field, 13 points. But understanding that the guards for Duke are going to have many more driving lanes and the more shots that Matthew Hurt makes, because he's going to attract so much attention from the opponent.
Duke has been the better team since halftime, no question about that. Tipped out by Couture, and they've cut it to 4.
Matthew Hurt, primarily a catch and shoot guy, but you see a 5-4 pick and roll right here in just a little bit of space. That's all Matthew Hurt needs to be able to get that shot off. At 6'9", can shoot over many defenders, especially if he gets a little bit of space.
Duke has outscored the Hokies 16-8 in this half. Here's Goldwire. He'll set it up. Duke's assist leader. The senior out of Norcross, Georgia. Hurt again down low this time. Nice. They hit a couple of nice looking shots.
That is beautiful. You know, right out of the Dirk Nowitzki playbook. And you know the crazy part about that, Obi? In 1995, when I was in college, if you shoot a shot like that, you're immediately coming out of the game. That was a terrible shot back then, and now it's fundamental.
It's amazing how, time heals that, right?
It really
nice
does.
Touch again on the other end by Aluma, the 6'9" junior. They need a lot of him, Corey, down the stretch here for the Hokies.
They really do. Only 6 points for Aluma, who averaged 15.5 a game. But right now we're starting to see that matchup between the two big guns from both these teams as Matthew Hurt starts to heat up, knocking down the corner three to make this a 1-point game.
Again, he's 43% beyond the three-point line on a team that he leads in three-point makes. But, overall he's a 54% shooter. Doesn't miss much. Cone, as that one's deflected away. Take a look at the last couple of buckets by Matthew Hurt.
And Matthew Hurt just showing off his entire arsenal. The one-leg step back, which is a good shot now. Bad shot 25 years ago. And this is always a good shot. The wide-open three, and great action from the Blue Devils to get him that look. Aluma tries to go over the screen, which you can never do against a true shooter that Matthew Hurt is.
Bradford thought about it. Got the pass free, and it'll drop down for Aluma. 58-55 Virginia Tech in a tight one here with a ton of time to go. Hurt against Aluma. Not this time.
Still like the look from Matthew Hurt right now. You can tell that Coach K wants to force feed Matthew Hurt, give him as many opportunities as he can, especially against Aluma, to see if he can get him in foul trouble or have that confidence wavering just a little bit, because he knows how important Aluma is to this Hokies team.
Goldwire to set it up here. 3-point game. Moore steps back. Can't drain it. That missed ugly. Going a one-man fast break. And knocked away by the Blue Devils. They defended that one-man fast break particularly well.
A great hustle by Joey Baker getting back on defense, but that's been 2 bad threes in a row from the Blue Devils. Wendell Moore didn't touch the rim, nor did Jordan Goldwire, and it ends up being a 3-point opportunity for Virginia Tech on the other end. Bad misses always lead to transition buckets. And you see the miss from Goldwire ends up in Aluma getting out in transition and finishing through the contact. Notorious B.O.B., we got ourselves a game.
A serious ACC battle tonight here in Blacksburg, and the Stars beginning to get after it, Corey. Matthew Hurt and Keve Aluma.
And Matthew Hurt doing a great job moving without the basketball, finding himself in the open spot. Jordan Goldwire, the team leader in assists, finding Hurt off great action. And on the other end of the floor, Keve Aluma knocking down the floater with nice bit of touch on the home court bounce right there, but both the stars that we outlined at the beginning of this game starting to come alive. Aluma with the transition opportunity and finishes off the three-point play now. 11 points for him. And of course, Matthew Hurt, who leads the ACC in scoring up to 18. And I think both these guys are going to have a tremendous amount of influence in the outcome of this game when it's all said and done.
Break field and tied up there, and a whistle on a foul with 11:17 to go here in the second half at Cassell Coliseum. Brakefield getting his first start at Duke, courtesy of the Hall of Fame head coach.
And Obi, just so that I don't forget, we talked about Henry Coleman not being with the team, but I got to give a shout out to my guy Chris Carrawell, who I know is of course paying tremendous attention, assistant coach for the Blue Devils, who's also unable to make this trip and probably coaching through the screen right now.
I'm sure, and a big fight for the rebound. It's going to go the other way. On a possession arrow on the tie-up. Coming up, it's ACC Women's Hoops better than ever on Thursday. Triple header. Wake Forest and Notre Dame started off at 4 o'clock. Virginia Tech and North Carolina follow at 6. And at Boston College and the number 2 team in the country, Louisville at 8 p.m., all on the ACC network. 11 minutes to go here in Blacksburg, and a 61-55 lead for the Hokies and the basketball.
Right now you see Duke picking up with some full court pressure, zone pressure. And now we'll flow back into the man-to-man, trying to make sure they don't give the Hokies a running start into their offense.
Beatty up top with it.
But look at how much attention the Blue Devils have to pay to Jalen Cone running along the baseline screens.
And nearly left that one behind. Another scrap for it. And it'll be Duke Blue Devil ball.
And, you know, something that won't necessarily show up in the stats, but Joey Baker has done a great job giving the Blue Devils some defensive presence off the bench. So the hustle play alone right there gets the Blue Devils the basketball back. But he's actually blocked 2 of Jalen Cone's shots thus far in this game, denying points for one of the best bench performers in the ACC. So right now, Joey Baker making his presence felt on the defensive end of the floor.
Getting really physical there, and once again, a player hitting the deck. Justin Mutz tangled up with Matthew Hurt there for a moment. They're going to go to the monitor and take a look here to see if there might have been a flagrant on that foul, stopping the clock with just over 10 minutes to go, and the Hokies leading at 61-55.
And I'm no referee. I will make sure to say that first, but it seems as though the sign made was for a double foul. With both fists out, I believe that's a double foul call with both these guys going at it, but if they're looking at something, most likely it is that Hurt follow through with the elbow. I'm sure that's what they're going to look at, but it was called a double foul on the floor.
You're correct. Yep, that's exactly what the call was on the floor, and now looking to see if there was something extra there.
And I did referee at the Waynesboro YMCA back in my early high school years.
And how would you grade your days as an official at the Y? I mean, scale of 1 to 10.
Oh, is there anything? Is what's the lower? So basically, 1 is bad. Let's go 0 or -1. I was horrible.
No.
You see right there the elbow coming through, the double foul, and I think the double foul is the right call because you see, a little bit of elbowing from both guys and jockeying for position, but you see the right arm come through from Matthew Hurt making contact with the face of Mutz. And I believe that's what the officials are talking about right now. And again, it doesn't have to be a tremendous amount of force, but it is an elbow. And I would not be shocked if they came away from this with a flagrant foul on Matthew Hurt, really for after the play. I don't prefer that to be called, but yet it wouldn't be surprising if that is what happens.
Officials tonight, Jeff Anderson Tim Clarkerty and Tony Henderson as they get together over near the monitor to sort this out and see if it goes beyond a double foul.
And you got Jeff Anderson on his way over to talk to Coach K, and then of course going over to talk to Coach Young. Something extra has happened if they're going to do that. That is going to be a flagrant foul on Matthew Hurt. I tell you what, Obi, my refereeing has been pretty efficient today. I'm 2 for 2 right now.
Yeah, I mean, you're out of that negative zone.
Yeah, and let me tell you, this is a career high. I'm telling you that now. 2 for 2 for me is a career high. You're a baseball guy. You know when you get off to a game and you go 2 for 2 to start it off, you're doing pretty well.
Yeah, you've had yourself a good afternoon. Well, 61-55 Virginia Tech. And so Mutz will be shooting 2 here on the technical against Matthew Hurt. Mutz, who hits 65% at the line and misses them.
But you got an opportunity to put 2 points on the board, and you don't take advantage of that situation. That is something that can come back to haunt you. And we've seen the Blue Devils find some momentum here in this second half, and that actually adds momentum in the favor of the Blue Devils now with an opportunity to make this a one-possession game if they're able to knock down a 3 on this possession.
On a jumper, and great defense there by Virginia Tech. The Hokies get Beatty to jump out and deflect the shot.
And that's just a winning play. Wabisa Beatty was beat on that play but never gives up on it. Does a great job retreating out, blocking the shot of Roach in the corner. We talked about how big a three-pointer could be on this possession.
Stewart way downtown, bit too strong. A fight for the rebound. It goes to the Hokies. Shot clock at 15. Cone swings the pass. Beatty directing traffic with a shot clock down to 6. Beatty on a penetration. And a tie-up that's taken away by the Duke Blue Devils.
And there you have to understand, if you're Wabisa Beatty, you're dropping that off to a freshman in a tough spot. I know Beatty's not a big-time scorer, but he would have been much better off taking that shot. Virginia Tech coming up with the stop, so it doesn't hurt them. But as a senior point guard, you know, KYP, know your personnel. It's better for you to take that shot and give the freshman an opportunity to go get an offensive rebound if you don't make it.
Trying to get that one down low, and a tie-up. And the whistle will go the other way. It's going to be Duke ball. So they have the arrow.
Both these teams have tightened it up defensively here in the second half. You know, we saw a shootout in the first half with Virginia Tech doing pretty much anything they wanted, shooting 66% from the floor in the first half. But give Duke credit for picking it up defensively as DJ Stewart makes a tough bucket going to the left hand.
You talk about a near impossible angle, Corey, to be able to knock that one in. The freshman from Chicago, he's got 12, and that's his biggest basket certainly of the night. 61-57.
Getting big buckets forever.
Gone. Yes! Well, you talk about that ability to shoot it, from outside the gym, and you were bragging on him early in the game. And for people who haven't seen much of Jalen Cone, he's the best sixth man in the ACC. He has 14 tonight. The whistle stops the clock at 8:22 to go, but boy, he can just break your back with these triples.
But it's not just the fact that he has 14; it's he has 14 with everyone in a Blue Devil uniform paying him attention. We saw Jalen Cone running the baseline. They switch out on everything not to give him an opportunity to get a look, but he is relentless with his work and moving without the basketball, trying to find a way to put points on the board for the Hokies.
What a weapon he is. He's coming up 18 against Notre Dame again off the bench. It's going to be deflected out of play by the Hokies, so Duke will retain possession. With 8:13 to go here in Blacksburg. Turned into a pretty darn good tussle here on a Tuesday night in the ACC. Roach will fire. Got a good look, but he couldn't get it to go.
And he's capable of knocking that shot down, but you have to understand, at that point of the game, Jeremy Roach has the ability to get to the rim as well. And when things haven't been going great for your team offensively as a point guard, that's a better opportunity for him to put the ball in the paint and make a play for himself or his teammates.
Duke had cut it to 1. Here's Beatty launching, and a tip controlled and now knocked away. It's certainly getting physical. 64-57, slicing through again for a terrific basket. Stewart has just made a couple of impossible angle shots when he has needed to make them the most, and he has 14.
And he has done that. You know, the Blue Devils have only played 8 games this season, but DJ Stewart has made big shots for them in all 8 of those games. When you consider the young man is McDonald's All-American, coming out of a great school at Whitney Young where he played for Tosh Slaughter, now he gets out on the break once again.
And
but DJ
it's going to be off. Going to be off with Duke. They're off Goldwire and out of bounds, so the Hokies will have it.
Yeah, DJ Stewart has been special, attacking the basket, finishing. The mean streets of Chicago product. They're proud of him back home.
Well, look at the ACC standings and the teams that are perfect in conference play. Louisville at 3-0. Same for Virginia and these Duke Blue Devils, where Virginia Tech just 1 loss and 9-2 overall. Clemson at 9-1. And in this one, Virginia Tech is led by as many as 18. Duke did cut it to 1 at one point. They've never led in the contest. Virginia Tech has responded with 8 of the last 12 points. 64-59, the Hokies. Bradford bouncing back downstairs, swinging it into the lane, and an and 1 for Aluma. We just feel they were targeting him, Corey, that he was going to be the man to go to the rack.
Well, what we're seeing, Obi, is Duke is caught in between whether they're going to double team Mutz or if they're going to play him straight up. And you see Matthew Hurts kind of in no man's land. Jeremy Roach unsure as to whether or not he needs to rotate over. It really miscommunication from Duke on the defensive end of the floor. Cost them 2 points, but yet doesn't turn out to be 3 because Aluma doesn't knock down the free throw.
Goldwire with a tough drive off the window, no.
It's been a tough offensive night for Jordan Goldwire. He's done the job defensively, 4 steals for him, but he's struggled on the offensive end of the floor, and he's invaluable to this team. Coach K has to have him in the game, probably the best on-ball defender in the ACC.
You can see that variety of moves by Aluma in the paint. He has a lot to handle, 68-59.
But you talk about that run for Virginia Tech, showing maturity here as Duke made a run to get back into this game. Virginia Tech has responded.
Well, Hurt drops in 2 and a timeout. 68-61, under 6 to go in Blacksburg.
Matthew Hurt has shown a complete offensive arsenal, especially here in the second half. 12 second half points for the ACC's leading scorer. Doing it in the post, knocked down 4 3-pointers already in this game. And just in case you thought he could only do it on one side, he goes to the other side. Fade away, over top of great defense by Aluma. But Matthew Hurt trying to put his team on his back here in the second half of this game at the Cassell Coliseum. And right now, 20 points for Hurt, right at his average on the season. But he's going to need more if the Blue Devils expect to walk away with the road victory.
Well, he has 12 of those in this half. Roach has 17, Stewart 14 for Duke. Bradford leading the way, 16 for the Hokies. Aluma with 15, Cone has chipped in with 14. Hokies by 7 with the basketball. Aluma with it. Shot clock at 6. Couture back to Aluma. Shot clock now down to 2. And they defend him beautifully downstairs.
Right now, Jalen Cone guarding Matthew Hurt. Matthew Hurt. I'm sorry, no, that was Joey Baker. That's one where you want to be able to get an opportunity at the rim and take advantage of the mismatch. Jalen Cone does so much damage to you on the offensive end of the floor. You have to find a way to go at him defensively. And right now, the Blue Devils not taking advantage of that opportunity, trying to get him on the post.
Cone, not this time, but they'll get another chance. Radford with the rebound. Wants to go back strong and left it short. So every time it looks like the Hokies are going to go on a spurt and maybe take command, they miss a shot or two, or Duke gets a big stop. Now the Blue Devils have it back. Hurt will launch. And just the one opportunity, that was it.
But give Virginia Tech credit. That's one of the things they've done very well in this game. They've kept Duke, for the most part, one and done. Haven't given up many offensive rebounds in this one. And that's
coming
one
up
of the
on
areas
4 minutes to go. Couture with a bounce. Saluma draws the double. Trying to get out of that. Bradford was open. Pushed up by Cone. No, he's got a little bit chilly. And the Blue Devils on the attack now offensively. Goldwire taking the lane, draws the contact. 3:43 to go. 68-61, Virginia Tech on top of Duke. Seven-point game here. Tyrese Radford has had a lot to say about this one tonight.
Boots getting it done. Nicknamed because he's from Louisiana, of course, which looks like a boot, and he has found his way to the rim early and often in this game. Tyrese Radford with a double-double, 16 points, 10 rebounds thus far, still with 3:43 remaining. But what he's done to this point, he is our Zaxby's player of the game. 7 for 11 from the field, 4 assists. And you think about Tyrese Radford and Obi, he was the guy that really pushed the tempo for the Hokies early in this one.
Now, should Duke win the game, we may go back and give it to Matthew Hurt because Matthew Hurt also has a double-double.
Yes.
And has played an extremely good second half. It'll be Goldwire at the line. Who's looking to cut in. Goldwire, a 75% foul shooter, missing on number 1.
That has been a struggle for Jordan Goldwire tonight. 0 points, 0 for 4 from the field, and now 0 for 1 from the free throw line. Finally gets his first point of the game. Allows Duke to set up their full court pressure. They're going to try to find a way to come up with some turnovers at this point. And if you're Virginia Tech, you don't want to be passive when you get the ball out of pressure. If you have an advantage, you need to take care of that because it's difficult at this point in the game to score on Duke in the half court.
Bucks trying to take it to the lane. A little shove there by Hurt. Stops the clock with 3:24 to go here in Blacksburg. Join us at 10 o'clock for In Play right here on the ACC Network. A whole lot to talk about, particularly in college basketball and inside the conference. Kelsey Riggs and E.J. Manuel coming your way at 11 o'clock Eastern Time on the ACC Network.
I like that show. I'm going to have to send Kelsey a question through text because they choose whether or not they're going to respond to your text or leave it on red. But being that Kelsey and I go way back, she's probably going to leave mine on red because she has forgotten my name. So
hard to believe.
Yeah, I'm sure she would leave my text on red. EJ wouldn't do me like that. I'm sure EJ wouldn't do that.
You know what a good person Kelsey is. She's an absolute salt of the earth.
Yeah, she's a great person. I just don't see it. I'm just saying, she's a great person. She just doesn't treat me that great, but I love her anyway.
Okay, all right. Well, you're on your own on that one, partner. 68-62. 2:45 to go. Pull up Popoline. That won't fall. Well, the Blue Devils very much alive and kicking here. Roach with a determined attack there, and he's held up and fouled with 2:34 showing.
So we rewind back a couple minutes ago, Obi, and I talked to you about Roach's ability to get to the basket when he settled for a three-pointer. And now you see that he's going against one of the better defenders in the ACC as well, Tyrese Radford, but still can put that pressure on the Blue Devils, and he continues to develop as a point guard. He'll know the times where he needs to take the three and also when he needs to go to the basket, because better things can happen for you in crunch time going to the rim. You can get to the free throw line, you can score, but more importantly, you don't have long rebounds to get the opponent in transition.
Roach, one of the 3 freshman starters for Coach K tonight, 18 points so far. He is playing with 4 fouls, so keep that in mind. It's some very nice games, 13 points, 7 assists, no turnovers against Illinois.
Well, he's special. He's got a chance to be really special in a Blue Devil uniform, and right now just starting to find his way, because he didn't have the ball. He wasn't necessarily their go-to point guard to start the season, but he has earned that right now over the past few games to be the guy that Coach K depends on to have the ball and make the right plays for himself and his teammates.
They're coming down to the high-tension minutes as that one is knocked away, but the Hokies will retain possession with 2:17 to go.
Obi, that was an example. You remember when Coach Young was talking to us about Jordan Goldwire's hands? And
yes.
He was talking about he has great hands, and you see Jordan Goldwire get his hand in that possession without a foul, but just like that, strong hands, quick hands, and the ability to knock that basketball away and come up with the deflection.
Leading the ACC in steals. Cone thought about it. Aluma to the paint, and a foul. That was with just 4 seconds on the shot clock. He gets hit.
And if that's hurt, that's going to be his 4th foul, though they get Brakefield on that one. Well, it was Hurt who fouled. Now, I'm not sure who they called it on, but you see Matthew Hurt gets his hand in there on the arm.
Abidi back on now to run the point. Aluma with 16 points and 6 rebounds for the Hokies. Hurt did pick up that last foul, so you were correct. You're batting 1,000 tonight.
Uh-oh. You know what that means? Something's bound to go wrong.
Coming up on 2 minutes to go. 6-point game. The kick for Stewart. Oh, he got a good look, too.
Got a great look and a nice find in the corner. But still a lot of time. Only a 2-possession game if you count the 3-pointers in this one. And right now, if you're the Blue Devils, it's solely about getting a stop and then trying to find the right opportunity on the offensive end of the floor.
They want Beatty in the game to run the offense. A shove there by Goldwire. Stopping it at 1:34 to play. So down the stretch we come here on a Tuesday night in Blacksburg.
Goldwire just really standing up, not in defensive position at that time to chase Radford off. But, you know, and Jordan Goldwire is a great defender and a smart defender. He should have known at that point, Tyrese Radford is not going to shoot a 3. Again, you trail a guy that's going to come off there shooting, and he could have cut underneath that screen and met Radford on the other side and not been in that situation. But a lot of it also has to do with communication. Did he even know a screen was coming? Did his teammate let him know what was happening on that possession?
Baker back on, double bonus here for the Hokies. Made 1 of 2, 71-64. Under 90 seconds left. On the attack, great defense there by Aluma, and he kept it in play, and they get the basketball back.
I don't know if Zaxby's has a play of the game, but if they do, that's it right there.
Oh, yeah.
Aluma with a 2-hand block shot. But more importantly, as you mentioned, to keep it inbounds and get it to a teammate to regain possession for the Hokies.
That's the bounce feed and the stuff. Justin Mutz with the dunk, but that opens up a 73-64 lead with just over a minute to go. And a great defensive play moments ago.
Obi, this is a game-winning play. You see not only the block, but saving the possession, which allows the Hokies to get on the offensive end of the floor. Beautiful find once again from Radford, as much as able to get the easy dunk, but make this a 9-point game with only a minute and 2 seconds remaining. And that can be deflating to the Blue Devils. There's no quit in this team, but when you have a guy go make a play like that against you, that often can take a bit of the wind out of your sails.
And didn't you feel that way as a player? And I know I've heard coaches talk about it for 100 years that, you know, it's not always the great offensive play. It's not always the slam dunk. It's not always the triple from 25 feet. It can just as easily be a block like that when you can keep the basketball, when you can win the basketball back and get the possession.
Absolutely, and that is what you call winning plays. And Mike Young is more concerned about winning plays than he is about highlights, and he just got a winning play from Keva Aluma, who transferred over from Wofford. Once his coach got the job at Virginia Tech, he was on board coming along. And, you know, Coach Young told us, he said, I honestly did not see him having this level of impact in the ACC, but he definitely has, and he's glad he's doing it in Blacksburg.
He said he's even better than I thought he would be, and I've seen him take every practice for 4 years. I've seen him play every game and every practice, and here he is really working his way into his star status in the ACC. 50.7 seconds to go. 73-64. Bradford shooting 2 now for the Hokies. And misfiring on the first one. It's a 73% foul shooter. Looking to make it a 10-point game, and does with number 2.
That's a big free throw right there. You talk about now a 4-possession game with under 50 seconds remaining.
Well, Blue Devils have to hit their threes, but now they're going to back off here with 35 seconds to go. And a 10-point advantage. So Virginia Tech about to make it a third AP Top 25 victory this season. And an outstanding win very early in the campaign against then number 3 Villanova. And taking down number 19 Duke here tonight.
And conversely, the Blue Devils don't have a win versus a ranked opponent this season.
Pull-up pop will not drop. One more heave at the buzzer. That will count on the shot at the horn by Roach. And so Virginia Tech salts this one away down the stretch of the second half. So number 20, Virginia Tech, a victory tonight against the Duke Blue Devils here in Blacksburg.
Hobie, this is the time where you truly miss the fans, because the Cassell would be rocking with a Virginia Tech win over the Blue Devils, but still is satisfying to Mike Young and the Hokies coming away with the win.
Corey, thanks so much. Enjoyed it in Blacksburg. There's your final score as that three-pointer counted, 74-67. For my partner, Corey Alexander, I'm Dave O'Brien. Thanks for being with us. Have a great night, everybody.